banger? Hell yeah.
Class is in session, this is the show where knowledge is profit, just so you know. Army Piper, OC Guy, and Trade Fly, bringing crypto news to the whole alumni. It's the word on the market, the one-stop shop for the info you need every time that it drops. The go-to show that you need right now. This is Piper Academy, it's all going down, let's go.
Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. We are about to go live here. We've got crypto coming in today. Extreme fear on Bitcoin charts. But as the thumbnail says, extreme fear. But at least it's Friday. Let's talk some crypto. We're going to do that today. All that and more right here on Piper Academy. Let's get it. Class is in session. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Piper Academy. I'm Army Piper, and we've got a great show lined up for you today as the markets are dumping. At least the party is pumping over here on Piper Academy because I got my boys in the house. Trade Fly and OC Guy. What's up, fellas? We are. It's a sad day to look at your portfolio, but it's a great day to look at your friends on screen here. So, how you guys doing today, man?
Yo, it's a great day to be alive. What are you talking about? Everything is all good. We're here with our fam. We're stirring it up in the chat already. And I'm repping some Bitcoin swag here, courtesy of Rocco. My dude sent me a care package.
I'm rocking Ethereum swag from In and Out Crypto. I'm just saying.
There it is. In and Out Crypto, baby, man. He is doing it right. So let's go ahead. Let's hit up the chat. Say what's up to everybody in there. We got Blacketchan577. He said this is his favorite show yesterday. So much appreciation, my man. He is quite the regular. Trade Intuition, Kyle Fields. Username, let's keep it going. Alex Crypto, my brother from another mother. Otter Gang, let's see him in the chat here. Go ahead and put some emojis down there. Regent Cash, yo, that's my man Chris. We actually got a tea time after the show, so I'm super stoked to do that. And then let's see here. Crypto Billion, the house, the man, the myth, the legend. Go ahead, check out his book. Average Crypto, Joe, Mike, Play, Harp, and Dave P. I think I got them all there. And username, if I got you twice. Oh, Alexander G, almost missed you. Best mind in the house. We love you. Happy Friday. Let's get it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. OC, how you doing, man? How you doing down there in old Mexico? Are you going out to the beach today? You gonna go chill on the ocean, enjoy some margaritas and senoritas?
Oh man, I wish. I have a ton of things to do today. We finally got back at normal life here. I mean, already most of the power, all power is stable and up and running. My internet is back, so I need to also talk away my Starlink. But man, I mean, cleaning up, that's a big part of preparing for the next one because we are just getting started with the hurricane season. So, a ton of things to do. And
a lot of things to do.
My crypto is crying.
It's, you know what it's doing? It's ranging. This is the boring stage where you sit there and you watch the slow bleed off. And we're actually going to look at the chart. I'm going to show you guys what this looked like last cycle of the bull run in the same time period, guys. We've talked about it here, but I saw some other things today. So shout out to Lunar Beach's crypto because I pulled up. He was looking at the fear and greed index indicator, and I'll show you on the chart. But he talked about the bear market, that this is the level we were at in the bear market bottoms. But I want to show you guys when we were there in the bull market. So we're going to look at that today too. And then I believe TradeFly has a very special announcement for the alumni members towards the end of the show. So stick around for that. So TradeFly, have that ready to go, man. We got a special announcement for the peoples today. Let's go ahead and jump into the news though. Guys, we got the news. All the news is fit to be news. Here we go. Extreme fear, guys. We are at 25. And I told you guys, I've said this all week. We need to hit extreme fear with this level of bleed off. And we finally did. And I don't like how it feels. So it feels extremely fearful. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we're extreme fear today, guys. That's how we're looking there. Looking over here at the crypto bubbles on the daily, seeing a lot of red. Bonk down 13.1%. Oh, it just changed to 11.8. Thank you. Appreciate that, Bonk. Brett's down 8.1%. Pepe's down 9.4%. Fetch guys. Fetch ASI getting beaten up badly, sitting at 6.9% to the downside. Ondo's down 6.2, Floki's down 7.3, Render's down 8.3, AKT down 7%, Arweave 6.9. Like there's a lot of bleed off on here. Looking here at Bitcoin today, guys, currently sitting at 57,600. Not too bad. This is holding in range, so we're going to look at and see what that range is, and then Ethereum holding above $3,000. So, despite these massive sell-offs, Bitcoin only down 1.3%, Ethereum down 2.1 on the daily there. BNB holding up quite well, sitting at 1% to the downside. XRP is up 4.1%. So if you're an XRP hodler, I sold mine a long time ago, but it's doing a little rebound there. Not too bad, but when you look at it for the year, it's down 42.1%. I was looking at this earlier. You guys have got to see this. Polygon Matic is down 40% for the year in comparison to things like Solana that is up 432% for the year. So Polygon Matic also in the news today. So Alex O Crypto, stick around. You're going to want to see that article. You're going to be like, I made great moves. Look here at the liquidations, guys. Past 24 hours, 45,679 traders were liquidated. Total liquidations came in at $139.5 billion. Largest single liquidation happened on OKX. It was Ethereum coming in at a even cool $4 million. What's $4 million? If you're a whale and you're playing these games, what is it? It doesn't matter. PPI, guys, we had news data come in today. Let's go ahead and we'll just pull this over to the 2. There we go, 2 stars. PPI month over month came in this morning at 0.2%, was consensus and forecast to be 0.1, which would have been worse. And then forecasted at 0.2. We came in neutral on that. Core PPI, this is the core data, and just pull this in here so you guys can see. This excludes food and energy cost. It rose by 0.4% over the month in June after an upwardly revised 0.3 increase to the prior month. If you don't know what that means they walked in and slid that on the back desk in the classroom there and said, yeah, by the way, last month we gave you fake numbers. Above the market forecast of 0.2 in advance. So on a yearly basis, core producer inflation quickened to over 1 year high of 3% in June from an upwardly revised 2.6%, and it surpassed the expected 2.5%. So not good data today on this core CPI or core PPI or the PPI. And then if you look at the year over year, which is what I had up here, I just wanted to isolate it away, was expected to be around 2.5 to 2.3%. It's actually 3%. So it's 3% higher than what it was in June of last year. So not good data. Matter of fact, if we jump over here and take a look at what the Kabisi letter said about it, he says, and I quote, let's get in there for it. There we go. He said, breaking June PPI inflation rises to 2.6%, above the expectation of 2.3. Core PPI inflation rises to 3%, above the expectation of 2.5%. And then PPI inflation is now up in 4 out of the last 5 months, even as CPI is declining. Our rate cut hopes becoming too optimistic again. And yes, he said this was a very hot PPI inflation report. As we have seen in previous reports this year, the Fed considered this data holistically before beginning interest rate cuts. So PCE inflation is the next spotlight. And that's what we're going to be watching for on this show. We're going to be bringing that data to you when it comes out. Looking at this data, guys, next week, let's go over here and show you next week. I want to go to the news set up here. There we go. And let's just go look at next week so that we can have this laid out so you guys know what's coming in the pipeline here. We get retail sales next. Let's go back to 2. Let's do that. That cleans up a lot of the noise here. There we go. Looking next week, we're going to have on Monday, July 15th, we've got Chair Powell speaking again. So we're going to start the week out like normal. It's Jerome Powell speaking. We're going to get into Tuesday. We're going to see retail sales. The retail sales right now are expected to be neutral or down, okay? And that would mean that demand is lessening or that people have less money to spend, depending on how you look at it. Same thing. That's why they raise the interest rates, right? To get people to slow down on buying. Then we're going to get into Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be our buildings permits to see how many buildings are being built. I think this is probably going to be down. Let's see what the consensus is. They're actually calling it to be up a little bit. I think building permits will be lower. just mark it now. I don't think these numbers are going to come in correct. I think it's going to be below that. We're going to get into Thursday. They're going to get those weekly jobless claims like we always get. And then that is it for next week. There is not a lot of data coming out next week. We're not going to get PCE until Friday, July 26th. And I told you guys that I think that we are looking at the end of July going into August before we see these markets reverse. And so that's the data that we're going to be watching for. There is that PCE coming in at the end of the month. We don't have a whole lot next week. Pretty quiet week. And if we're going to get any little rally pumps, it's going to be in that week where there's not a lot of bad data to reverse the price action. I do want to talk about this though, because we've got this data coming in, but we've also got the sell-off, and Germany is staying in the news, guys. This is an article straight out this morning. It says German Bitcoin sell-off nears completion. Here's how much is left. So at the current pace, Germany could complete the sell-off soon, having unloaded around 35,000 Bitcoin this week alone. The German state of Saxony is swiftly depleting their Bitcoin reserves as they offloaded another batch of confiscated assets to exchanges on Thursday. So they did that yesterday. Going out here, sell off 35,000 Bitcoin this week. According to blockchain data from Arkham Intelligence, these transactions occurred in multiple batches throughout the day. The wallet now only holds 6,894 Bitcoin, worth about $394. $94 million, I should say, down from the nearly 50,000 Bitcoin when they began selling 3 weeks ago. So they started at 50,000. They're down to about 69, just a little bit under 6,900 Bitcoin there. At this pace, Germany could finish the sell-off by Friday or early next week. That's what I wanted to talk about there, because when this sell-off ends, then it's back to the retail, the ETFs, the institutional buys, which have been inflows all week long. Just so you guys know, more inflows yesterday on those ETFs. I do think that we will find a stabilized bottom here, especially if we don't have any bad info, bad data come in on the economic side, and the sentiment is able to restabilize. But as of right now, fear is what we're feeling in the markets. That's what the sentiment is, and continuing to sell off. Therefore, likely still going to see some downside movement on these charts. TradeFly, OC, I'd love to hear your 2 cents on this. We'll go with TradeFly first.
Yeah, so a couple things. It has subsided the news a little bit, or the sentiment about Mt. Gox. Don't forget about that. There's still going to be a little bit of selling pressure there, so don't think we're completely out of the woods yet. And again, we've talked about the liquidity, where that's sitting at, so always keep that in the back of your mind. There's always potential that we go down there, clear that out, and then continue our move to the upside. But that being said, I do want to talk about PPI and the CPI data a little bit, right? Understanding what those are, because we say those, and I know that some of you may not really understand like the difference between the two. You're probably like, okay, cool. It looks good on one side, it looks bad on the other. Well, I'm not an economist, and it's not really my thing. So I bet Piper can chime in a little bit here. Here is my concern though. So the consumer, right? The CPI is what you need to think about there. The PPI is the producer, right?
Yep.
So the last thing that I want to hear is that inflation for the producer is actually higher than expected, because in my mind, logical man here, I just a simple man, that's all I am. But what I think about is, if the producer is feeling the heat of inflation, what's going to happen? A trickle
They're going to
down
raise those
effect
prices
to the consumer. All right. So keep that in the back of your mind. And that, I say, is very, very important data. And I'm very shocked, to be honest with you, that the market actually did not tumble more based on that data than on the CPI data. So maybe I got to get smart on it. Maybe I'm confused. But in my mind, I think later on, that could be an impact on inflation for us as a consumer, and that will drive Papa Pow and not being able to make a decision to go ahead and bring those rates, or start those rate cuts. So it's something that I'm thinking.
They have two methods. They have two methods, two approaches to that as a producer, right? As a corporation or a company, they've got two approaches to offsetting that cost. They can either raise prices, which then therefore increases the CPI, right? That's a consumer price index. That's how much it costs for the consumer to buy the goods they produced, or they can cut more jobs.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, when you look at the investor sentiment cutting jobs means that the labor force weakens, which means they have to cut rates sooner. That's why you don't see as much from the PPI as you do the CPI. Because the alternative method to offset that producer price increase is to cut jobs, which forces the hand of the Federal Reserve to cut rates sooner, which allows corporations to borrow money cheaper. I know it seems very around the way and back again, but there's another sentiment idea that goes in there that investors cook in smart money, and they go, this could cause them to lay off people, that could cause Federal Reserve to cut rates sooner. So that's why you don't see as much of a negative impact from PPI as you do CPI. So
I would like to go back.
There's your class lesson for today.
No, it's a good discussion, and I think it's very important to understand that effect, the cause and effect of, the numbers that we're seeing. I'm interested to go back now and actually look at PPI data and then how it actually affects CPI data as a lagging indicator.
Yep. And don't forget, like Phil said, miners selling off. We are still in capitulation. We still have not triggered that buy indicator, or even that it's done, that the capitulation has completed. We don't even have a yellow dot. It's still gray. That means still capitulation. We'll look at that here in a bit too. OC, I'd love to hear your input on this PPI, CPI versus the sentiment and how it's all playing out. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, that was about my point. What you just mentioned right at the end of your comment with trade flight, which is looking at it a simple way. It's just basically looking at where smart money is and where retail money is at, right? Guys, remember that retail money, it's us, it's all of the little fish that come together. And guys, remember, we can move markets if we aim at the same point. But usually we are fighting each other on direction, and we do not aim at the same price action, or do not aim at the same targets. So that's the difficulty behind retail money, right? So a little point in here, it is when we start seeing that retail is struggling with its money, they're going to be going for basic needs, right? Basically looking at, hey, we have Amy Leaf Crypto, what's up? And she might be also very in line by talking about this. So Amy, if you have an opinion, please let us know in the side chat. That'll be amazing. But yeah, basically, just to cut things short, when we are struggling, we're not going to be aiming at buying more crypto or going into a risky markets. Also remember, guys, that we have limited money, and when I say we, I'm talking about retail, right? So we need to be smart on where we aim that money. So that's why it's inverse correlation with cutting rates, and also, I mean, for retail to have or not have money. So remember, that also has to do with the jobs, with the employment rate. So another thing, very, very, very quick, it is that guys, do not underestimate the power of retail over smart money, because once we start getting and synchronizing together, and we start seeing also this rate cuts happening, I think we're gonna be blowing up as we move further into the bull market next cycle. But also, that's not to undermine smart money or institutional money. Now that window has been opened, and we haven't seen them rushing in after we give them the go, because once again, who's also buying and pushing the ETF? You can buy the ETF, I can buy the ETF. So at the end of it all, it's all pushing through the hardest part. Retail is pushing through the hardest part. So do not be foolish. We behold that power. So yeah, other than that, turn it back to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Amy Lives Crypto. That comment that I threw up there on the screen, she was talking about that the individuals feel CPI directly, PPI indirectly, and it definitely is lagging. So, yep. Big brain there on Amy Lives Crypto. If you guys don't follow her, you need to. Her show is fantastic. Her content is wonderful. So, and very informative. So let's jump over here to this article. I do have one more article, and we're going to jump into this Bitcoin chart just to look where we're at. Because I'll tell you guys, we could sit here and talk for the next hour, not show a chart, and it's probably still going to be in a range box somewhere on that chart. So, guys, looking at Bitcoin here, price analysis, likelihood of a BTC drop to 52K increasing following recent decline. This comes following seemingly positive reports about U.S. inflation, leaving some investors wondering why the market is dropping. And I will tell you guys, yesterday, everybody's thumbnail was talking about this is going to pump charts. We came in and said, is it going to hold as the caveat to our thumbnail? And then right at the beginning, I said, it's pumping, but it's likely not going to last. Here's the support levels we're watching. And that's exactly what happened, guys. A lot of people thought this was going to move the market, and it did not. On the daily chart, the price has been dropping since getting rejected from the $70,000 level and has also broken down below the 200-day moving average. There you go. Located around the $58,000 mark. Currently, the market is hovering around 57K. However, this 200-day moving average has rejected the price, preventing it from recovering. Therefore, a drop towards 52K could be probable in the weeks coming. It's almost like they've been watching our show. I'm just saying, because this is what we've been talking about for 3 weeks now. On the 4-hour chart, things become even clearer. The price has once again been rejected from the long-term bearish trend. Further downtrend would be imminent. With the RSI dropping below 50%. On the other hand, this scenario would fail if the trend line gets broken to the upside. And that is what TradeFly has been talking about on the show. So there you go. On-chain analysis, Bitcoin miner reserves. While technical analysis can be a decent tool for price action forecasting, it's also beneficial to look at the underlying reason behind the recent downtrend. Analyzing behavior of Bitcoin miners could yield helpful insight with achieving this goal. And then they're talking about the miner reserves here. This is that capitulation we just discussed. Over the recent months, the miner reserve metric has been dropping rapidly. This might indicate that they are not convinced of a further uptrend by Bitcoin. Consequently, this selling pressure could result in a further price decline. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's exactly, this article is exactly what we have been talking about for at least a month, over a month, when we talk about the capitulation, because we talked about that on the show. We talked about the 200-day, this trend line that TradeFly has been showing you. And 52K has been talked about for at least 2 months on the show. So there you go. Article giving a little bit of confirmation and confluence to what you guys are hearing from these three lovely nobodies right here on the camera right now. So we don't matter, but to you guys hear info from us every day, and we've been calling it right. So thanks for being here with us every day on the Academy, man. We appreciate you. Let's go take a look at the Bitcoin chart, and let's get into the charts, because that's why everybody's here, right? I said we're going to talk crypto today. Let's talk some crypto. Jump over here. Looking at Bitcoin, getting a little bit of a move this morning off of bad data. We get bad data on PPI and the charts go up. We get good data on CPI and they go down. That makes total sense to me. We are closing in on the 50% line here, guys. We got a 50% mark right there, that which is the median of this rising channel, okay? Just so you know. And we're closing in on that right now. We do have that 200-day moving average, exponential moving average, coming in at about 58,168 there. And then my trend line that I've been talking about is 58.4, which is this previous support here. And to go back further, it was previous resistance there, right there. So this line has been pretty important for resistance and support. And so that's what I am watching there on that. Let's go see how these oscillators are looking on the higher time frames. And let's you know what? Let's do a 3-day today. Let's just look at a 3-day and see how this is looking. Because on the 3-day, it looks like we're about to do a little flip of the ribbon there, but this could also be a goose head for a continuation down. But you can see here how low we are on the RSI, and this green that we are showing here on the 3-day is not looking overly positive. I'm willing to say this weekend we get a rally up. A little pump rally, nothing big, just a little pump rally, and we find a rejection and a pullback by Monday next week again. So, but don't be surprised if you don't see a little bit of upside movement this weekend, but don't get trapped in it, guys. That 200-day moving average, like I've said, if we don't close a daily candle above this and then retest it with a close 2 days in a row above it, then I can't be bullish. And that's just how I'm going to sit on this sentiment until that changes. The chart that I said, guys, that really matters is right here. It's my long-term Bitcoin tracker chart with the fib channels here. And as long as we stay in this range box as support, which is what I talked about when we were coming down this way here. I said, as long as we hold the 887 and close above it, we're fine. And I said we could wick below, which we did, and we have closed and held. So that is coming in at 55,971. I do think that we will see a wick down to that 52 range and could go as low as 48.5. Why do I think 48.5? That's the bottom of my green box here. It is the 50% fib level there. So let's kick it over to TradeFly. Let's see what you're seeing there, TradeFly. But I'm betting that we see a good amount of liquidity sitting around $60,000 to $61,000 on the upside and about 53 to 56 on the bottom side. That's what I'm thinking. So let's go look at the chart. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I think my man's looking at the screen right now before he's making his predictions.
Not at all. Just off of the charts, man.
He's like, yeah, I am the all-knowing. Yeah, exactly right, man. That's where liquidity's sitting. It's right around 60,000, just under it, about 59,850 is where you're starting to see liquidity. That's kind of a long ways to go for price action, but $1,000 move is no big thing, or a couple $1,000 move for Bitcoin. Really not a big thing. But we haven't really been seeing those aggressive moves as much recently with Bitcoin like we used to. The closest alligator to the boat really is about 56,450. So that's where liquidity is really starting to sit, and it's just built up. It's almost like people are gluttons for punishment because they just keep going long, leveraged longs every time we make a move down. They're like, all right, this is the one. All right, this is the one. And then they just keep getting cleared out over and over again. So you guys are crazy people, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and go over to the chart here. This is the area I was looking at personally yesterday on the show. This little blue line here at about 56.7, 56.6, I think is what the actual call was yesterday. And sure enough, we came down here. We got a little test of that area. We are now seeing market pump on the prophecy indicator. This is the daily. And then you can see here, we did have some bullish divergence, as well as the prime oscillator is now making its way up and right. We're showing a little bit of strength as we come down and do those retests of this area of support. That's probably a good sign. That's probably why you're seeing the move up. But again, what are we going to do? We're going to run right back into resistance. So be very, very careful there. If you're intraday and you're scalping, that's probably the exit right around this 200-day SMA, as Piper's been talking about. He's really looking at the EMA. SMA is very close to it, though. It's not far off. And then you have the support range that I talked about yesterday as well. I said, hey, it's not support anymore. It's resistance. We got to break through that before I'd be interested in going heavy long. You got to get over top of that, do the OC retest, and that's sitting at about 59,611. All right. So, everything's kind of lining up where the liquidity is on the top and the bottom side, as well as what you're seeing on the charts as well. So, be careful. You might be able to trade this range, though, intraday. So keep an eye on those numbers. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think Piper's covered most of it, and I'll turn it over to OC, see what he's got.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. TradeFly. At this point, I do see a couple of things happening in the charts. And I might be able to start updating my trend lines. Remember that this was the first one that we had, and we were looking for a breakout. So far, we're having a breakout going for that same retest on that trend line that we're having. We still need to be careful, although right now, I will be looking at my MVP oscillator. By the way, if you don't know where that MVP oscillator is at, you just click on your gear icon, go to oscillator select, and click the MVP oscillator. I will be shifting to daily very quickly just to see where is that oscillator located at this point. And let's just give it a second for it to load. And remember, I need to be below the 0 here and also start having some bright areas. Remember that our first DCA entry or DCA area was all the way up here, and it was profitable as well. So at this point, I think we still had a little bit more to go. And I was talking about this with Alex on Crypto yesterday on the show, that we could be having one more leg down. Also, that it was a request or a question in which one of our members were asking, I think it was Roberto, can we still have one more leg down? I mean, for Wyckoff? And I said, yeah, absolutely we can. I mean, this could be that double top that now we are seeing, and that usually double top ends up being at the bottom of the range. So everybody's looking at this triangle, but also let's not forget that we have a big support all the way down here, and that support it's out of this huge box that we've been talking about Piper Academy the whole time. So we could be having that maybe week down and then coming back into the range before start pushing upwards. But so far, It's not there yet, and we need to be a little bit careful with that. Let me just clear up these things, and we are below the zero line, so we are still bearish. All right. Just be careful in the market. I believe I do see a possible rejection out of these areas up here, and then visiting lower areas somewhere around 55, especially when we start looking at our order blocks all the way up here. Remember, we're going to be bonging between those two big boxes. Order blocks are known to be magnetic and also reject price very heavily. Both are loud, and we need to see which one is going to be giving out first. So other than that, turning it back to you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to show these two charts here for you guys real fast that we just talked about. There's that capitulation. This is called the Caprioli Bitcoin miner hash rate. It's the hash ribbon. And what I'm watching, I've done a few tweaks to it so that it looks a little bit differently. But this is where we talked about back in May that this had triggered a sell-off of the Bitcoin miners. So as long as this stays in gray, we still got that to the downside, in my opinion. But on the as far as the yellow dot and the green dot, that would mean that it's over, that they're done selling. If I go in here and take a look, you can see that yellow recovered, and then green is the buy. I will let you guys know when that triggers on the daily so that you guys can be aware that the capitulation might be over for the miners. And then the other thing is the fear and greed here. Guys, I think we're going to be here until at least towards the end of August, maybe September. I think we could see some recovery start around the beginning of August, but I don't think that we're going to actually get that parabolic move until probably into the fall time. If you take a look here, this is the Fear and Greed Index. Shout out to Lunar Beaches Crypto. He was talking about this morning on a show, and he talked about that the level that we are at right now, we have not been here since the bear market bottom. If you take a look back here at the bear market bottom, that would be right in this range here. That's the last time we were in that range. Then we broke above it, stayed with price action. But if you go back here and look, here's a mid-cycle bull run, guys. This is 2021 here that we're looking at, and you can see we came up, and then we pulled way back deep on that summertime. You guys remember that thing? If you were around in crypto back then, you were like, where's this 100,000 at? And then it took off, and then you were waiting for the 100,000, it never came, and then, you know, that's a whole other story. But anyway, guys, we hit down in this range again back here in this period of time, and that was from about May through about the end of July going into the beginning of August. If you take a look at where we started to come down into that red again here, before we even got there, that started here in about the end of June, which would mean if we run this about the same amount of time, that would be looking somewhere around the middle to the end of August. And so that's what I'm going to be watching for, this little summer peak here, summer pullback, and then take off again. So that's what I'm watching. And those are two extra indicators that you can throw in your charts for free and just see what they're looking like. But yeah, shout out to Lunar Beaches Crypto, looking at that with the bear market bottoms there, but actually bear market bottoms there right there. But I do think that you can even calculate this and look at this in a comparative analysis form against the previous bear market summer, and that's where we are today. So let's jump over and talk about some altcoins, guys, and let us know in the chat. I think I saw we got a super chat from Louis B. He said, can you guys look at Chainlink and DOT on the day, please? Absolutely. We'll get that going. OC, can you start that list in the Discord? And then, guys, let us know what altcoins you'd like to for us to take a look at this morning. We are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go do that. But I'm going to go and pull up the two things. One, we got an article on Polygon Matic for my boy Alex O Crypto, who got rid of his Polygon recently. So this is going to make him feel good. And then I also want to show you data that just came out just a minute ago at 8 o'clock my time, 10 a.m. on the East Coast, the Michigan consumer sentiment. This is what we were talking about the sentiment of investors and the sentiment of buyers and so on and so forth. Guys, they thought it was actually going to be coming in pretty neutral, maybe a little bit higher than the previous month. Meaning that the sentiment was good. The higher it is, the better it is. It actually came in lower, guys. The sentiment is low. And that is what is driving the investment market, is this consumer sentiment, right? That means that when you go to the grocery store and you spend $150 for stuff that used to cost you $75, $80, your sentiment is low. And that's what we're seeing on that. Now let's jump into this article on Polygon Matic, guys. Polygon Matic gears for further decline despite surge in large transaction volume. On 11 July, Matic's transaction volume surged to $103 million, a significant increase from the previous day's $6.4 million. Despite the spike in large transaction volumes, the token price continues to decline. The bearish market sentiment, confirmed by Elder Ray Index, suggests that Matic's price might decline to 42 cents unless a positive shift of sentiment occurs. And we just saw we're not seeing any sentiment change out there. So right now, investor sentiment probably going to stay right in line with that consumer sentiment, which means we're probably going to see more decline on this. So Captain Jack Matic, can you please prepare Matic and see what that 42 cent mark looks like there on this chart? Let me know when you got that up, but I'm going to continue on with this article. According to the data from Into the Blockchain 11 July, Matic's large transaction volume was about $103 million. It represented a 1,493% surge in volume from the previous day. And then that downside movement there, for this layer 2 was down by 4% in a 24-hour period, while its trading volume increased 10%. Guys, that trading volume can be people opening shorts, just so you know. You can have a lot of data and a lot of transaction and volume that isn't positive. It can be negative. And so sell off for Matic probably continuing on. And you saw what I was showing you there on the crypto bubbles earlier, that Polygon Matic down 40% for the year. So not looking good there. Are you ready for some Captain Jack Matic from Mr. Tradefly?
Yeah, man, I got it up, man. It's an ugly chart. I don't know what else to say. It looks terrible. So it got under all the moving averages, under the golden pocket. That acted as resistance, and then down away we went. And it was a pretty nice sharp fall down to basically where we started for this fib retracement. So came all the way back down to 49 cents, and then it dropped down to the next support level, which is like, this is the poo level. It did get a bounce there at about 46. It came down as far as about 43. So I think that's what the call was, right? He said 43 or somewhere around there. So yeah, very much in play since it's already visited that area, that it can come down, find support there. But what do you look for? You come down the prime oscillator, see if you're actually getting some strength building up and right. Sentiment's not good. I guess the news is not good for Polygon. That's unfortunate. That was one of the plays that, I had some conviction with the Matic. I will be honest with you, because I like the deals it had in place when it started making deals with Starbucks and some of those big name brands. I was like, hey, this might be a good play. And it was for a little bit. And then it got named as a security by the SEC, and so did Cardano. So keep that in mind when you start thinking about price action and some of those assets that were labeled as securities and were pulled off of Robinhood because of that report as well. So that, I think that has an impact. I don't know for sure, but I definitely, I feel as though that is an impact on some of the price action for some of those projects that were named. So what are we looking at here? I mean, I would just be very careful. Piper gave you a reason to be careful, but, are we at an area of support? Yeah, clearly there is support in this area. And if you do have conviction, it could be an opportunity, but I personally would not do anything until we get some positive news coming out about Matic. And you start seeing it break the trend, right? The trend right now is down and right. The trend is your friend. It's riding this 20-day SMA down and right. So just be very, very careful with Polygon Matic right now. Support is, we'll say, down about 45 cents all the way to about 43 cents. But it could break down. It could go down to bear market lows, which is like terrifying to think about. And that's about 32 cents. That's all in play right now for Matic. However, your prophecy on the daily is actually saying market pump. So maybe you get a little rebound, maybe you get a little push up here to the bottom side of the platinum pocket to about 57, 58 cents. But be very, very careful. That's more intraday scalping type deals. I would not go heavy long on Matic right now until we see the trend actually flip. So that's what I'm saying on Matic.
Reggie Classic said, throw a macro fib over the weekly, and you'll see a little bit of a story there too, he said. So yeah. Just so you know, maybe you take a look at that. We'll come back around to it. Let's jump over to my chart. I'm taking a look at Chainlink here, and then we'll come back around for OC. We had a request for Chainlink, so shout out and thank you guys, Trade Intuition and Louis B, for those super chats. We appreciate you. We got you guys' TA coming up. Looking at Chainlink here on the daily. we are back at this. I told you guys when we were here before, I said, watch out. We got a rejection here at the top of the golden pocket, probably heading down to the bottom golden pocket there. Plus, right underneath that golden pocket, if I turn off these fibs here, um, fibs right there. Yep. Turn off those fibs. You'll see we're in this trade range here. We're below the trade range right now, guys. We've lost that. This trade Link likes to trade in ranges, right? We talk about this all the time on the show here. And this is the bottom channel. You got a top channel up here where we were trading in it. And then long term, the old channel is back here. As long as Chainlink is in this free fall area, we do have a little node of volume. Let's go ahead and throw a rectangle box on here. Let's throw a T box on here. Shout out TA Tim. We're going to drop that in here, and then we're going to bring it down to about the bottom of that range of volume. That little volume node is sitting right, brush tool, thank you, right in there in this fixed range volume profile. The value area low is where we are testing right now. So on the daily, if you look, we're getting a retest on that value area low. If we get a rejection off that, we're likely going to head back down into this accumulation range here again off of this previous volume node that we have there. Look at the oscillators on the daily. It does look like we are setting up for a possible duck head here for another little duck head. And then I think after that, we're going to pull back. So it probably could hit and test this trend line at about $13.10 before pulling back down into that range, which is between $11.60 to we'll call it $11, $10.90. So 11 to 11.50 is that range of bounce there. And we still do have more downside that could be happening here. But keep in mind, I did say that I think we get a little movement on Bitcoin this weekend, so to the upside. And if that is the case, then we have to play our Chainlink game with the same mindset that we could. Thank you, right there. That we could get another pump up above this value area low. If we do break this value area low right here and get back into this range, guys, I'm watching the point of control, which is from this big, huge volume node right here. That point of control coming in line with the 300-day exponential moving average in the crossing 50. That would be the range that I would watch for the rejection, which is $4.36. So if we break, just so you know the chain of events, if we break the value area low and get back into this channel, that's the target that we're heading for. Rejection there, coming back down to first level of support, 13.14, and then that value area low at 12.73. That's what I would be watching for overall for Chainlink on the daily. Let's kick it over to OC and see what he's got there.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for those super chats, and shout out for you guys. So also we have ARB. I was looking at ARB since yesterday, and it seems like we are still on the track, and we were looking at something that is not kind of like a playing out with what I really want to see. It is this pattern formation, right? We did reject out of the dynamic reactor right at the top right there with what it looked to be or a possible goose head. That is not a goose a goose signal, right? Or a good signal, because we usually want to see that goose head played out, because that gives us that heads up that we still have that strength, that force, or that momentum to start pushing upwards through some resistances. In this case, we didn't. We kind of like a week out, and right now we're breaking to the zero line. We also have some prime score very low. And despite we have market pumps, which by the way already has been playing out, right? I think that we have one more cycle before we start taking some decisions. Something important right out of the gate, right here. We are into a bearish formation, right? So this usually ends up breaking down. We are below the zero line. Be very, very careful. The next thing that I want to bring up, it is my support and resistances. I have another huge formation right down here. And as you can see, we are not only having the resistance from my manual trend lines that I have here, making this triangle. Also, we have dynamic reactor and the base of the previous triangle, as well as a resistance in here. And let me just pull this up with a little bit more volume, so you can see where we have retail volume playing out right here, right? And you know what retail does? It acts either as a support or as a resistance, because we can see previous ranges right down there. So the bull scenario will be going back up, having a little retracement, and finally going and visiting this liquidity area, being above, breaking through the dynamic reactor, going back for a retest. That would be my entry for a long. and then off we go to 0.8827. The bearish scenario will be not holding in here and going to visit between these two areas. So I'm going to be calling 59.47 for the bearish scenario. Remember, guys, a smart trader, it's a prepared trader, because no matter what, you already are prepared for whatever the market has for you. So other than that, be careful with ARB. I hope it breaks up and out and not down and right. Other than that, turning it back to you guys.
Awesome. Trade Flight, what you got for us, bro?
I got Fetch AI on the daily. That was one of our paid requests. I think that came through Joe. So here you go, bro. Again, it's the story with a lot of these alts right now. They are all kind of pulling back off of those highs here. High here was about $3.47. Not looking too great here. So I got a kind of a loose channel, right? This isn't like perfect. It's not just on the wicks. It's not just on the closes. What I see is an analysis of a trend that's going down and right. So keep an eye on that. Now, looking back left, you do see this like pit stop here, very similar to Bitcoin. We've kind of talked about that, the little pit stop it had, and then it shot up, and then there was another pit stop. So very similar looking in terms of Bitcoin. But the thing with Bitcoin is it stayed in a range here until it broke out. It stayed in the range longer. All right. So here we are looking at Fetch AI. The little bit of hopium that you have is that you're on the top side of this range right here, and it's the top side of the platinum pocket. That's the 0.786 at $1.12. Okay, so there's an opportunity here for some support. If you're looking down at the prime oscillator, you see that there was some divergence, price action going down, RSI going up. That's why you get this green line here. And so there might be an opportunity for a little bit of movement to the upside. Again, it's the same thing you're going to hear me reiterate. Good for scalping, good for intraday. Be very, very careful right now for adding in a long position and thinking that it's going to continue to move up and right, because I will not be confident in that until we get over all of this resistance. So same story, different altcoin. That's the story of the day. You got a channel that's going right. You got the golden pocket. You got the 200 SMA. You got the dynamic reactor. It's all on the top side of price action. I don't like to see that. It doesn't make me confident in going in a long position long term for some of these assets. Again, short play could be an opportunity, $1.12 up to about $1.50. Still a pretty nice move. You do have to get through this moving average here, so be very, very careful of that. But let's measure that move out. If it were to play out, you're looking at a move of about 35 cents. If we went to the moving average itself, you're looking at about 18 cents. That's probably the better play, to be honest with you, to look for some resistance there at the moving average. However, if it continues to fall down, let's give you a couple things to look for here. Now, this isn't falling in the fib retracement, but if you're just looking at the range and if you're going to the bottom of the range, say Bitcoin continues to fall down and we start clearing out some of that liquidity, well, this is very much in range, right? Or very much in play. And it's also a psychological number, dollar even, right? So there's probably people that have long positions sitting at $1. Again, intraday scalping, okay? So think about that mindset there. You're likely to get a little bounce off of psychological numbers. $1 could be a play there, so no harm in maybe setting an alert and looking for a little bit of bounce there. Go ahead and get your Alexo crypto scalping going, and that might be a play for you there. But if we continue to come down, you got the bottom side of the platinum pocket there that is at about 81 cents, and you have what was resistance. It might be a good opportunity to flip what was resistance into support. So keep an eye on those areas. Those are kind of your significant areas. If I was looking at it right now, if I'm just looking at it, well, what we need to see is Bitcoin make a move up and right. If we see Bitcoin make a move up and right, I would not be completely against a scalp or an intraday trying to have a little play off of this, because the sign is there in terms of the prime oscillator. Again, not financial advice, but the opportunity is there. You got a peak seeker, you got bullish divergence. There could be an opportunity here for a little bit of up and right movement. So that's what I'm seeing on Fetch.
Awesome. Let's jump over to my chart. I've got Jupiter up here, another request in a super chat. Guys, Jupiter got some downside movement. I actually think we have some lower targets here on it that we're going to be shooting for. First things first, we do have a trend line here on the, go to the daily. Thank you. On the daily. On the daily here, we do have a auto printed trend line from Chart Prime's Market Dynamics Pro here. And where we are seeing this at is this touch right here. You've got multiple touches on it. So watch out somewhere here in between the platinum pocket at 74 cents to 91 cents on the golden pocket, we have this trend line running through here. So look for us to get another rejection off of that. If we do get a rally up, these levels that I'm showing you here, let's turn this off and go back to the 4-hour. And you'll see that we did have a breakout channel here that gave us smart target. We hit that perfectly. So that's been closed. This is done. But we also have a trend line coming in right here off of the bottom of this trend. That could be another retest. So this could give us another rejection down. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about here. We could get that pump up and reject off that bottom trend line there to the downside. So keep all of that in mind when we're looking at this, that there's a lot of resistances that are breaking in right there in between the platinum pocket and the golden pocket. These levels on the platinum pocket and the golden pocket, guys, you can see the sequencing pulled on this on the daily from back here on the low and back in February up to this high point that we had for the all-time high of it here, which was back in April 24th, April of 24. Sorry, it would be March 31st, beginning of April. So April Fool's Day. There you go. Jupiter did a high and said psych and pulled all the way back down. You can see the sequencing here played out really well on the 382, played out really well here on the value area high of this fixed range volume profile. And we do have another level that is sitting. If I stretch this out, you'll see there's a level sitting right here at the bottom of this platinum pocket on the 786 with the value area low. That is what is holding us in here. But if we lose this, likely heading down to 59.9 cents. Again, on the upside, watch for that trend line coming down through here, somewhere in the range of about 85 cents. That's what you're going to be looking at there. Looking at the oscillators here, on the 4-hour, we do look like we're doing a duck head here, a goose head for more upside down movement. And then also we can still go super low on this RSI, relative strength index. Not seeing any strength there, even though we do have one green candle, could get enough of the pump to hit that and reject off of that move there. Looking at this on the daily, on the oscillators, it looks like we've got a flip of the ribbon for more downside move. Been printing these divergences, not playing out, and we have a red candle on the daily. So, yeah, I would be watching 59.9 cents, maybe 60 cents there on Jupiter. Let's kick it over to OC Guy.
Absolutely. I have a metric F of Jupiter, by the way. I'm going to be taking INJ. So we yesterday had a request of INJ and we had an analysis basically having a rejection of these areas despite we had a bounce. But if we were losing this trend line, which we were at that moment, we could be going all the way down to these areas right down here. So that was for the berry scenario. Most likely, there we go. That was the end of that analysis, right? So that's where we left out and look at what happened. Yesterday, we had the breakout of that candle, of that trend line as we were looking at. And now we are bouncing from the trend line that we have there. Let me pull out my indicators in here. Seems like this might not be over. Be careful because our MVP oscillator is not there yet for a beginning of DCA, although it starts giving some vibes that it wants to start pumping or pushing the DCA data right there, but we are just barely below the zero line in here, so not quite there yet, right? Depending on what Bitcoin might be doing, we could be having a fake out or a lower high in here and possible breakout all the way down here. Remember that this is my preferred target for entry right here because that is going to be giving me 284% of a run up if I do use a 10x, and I am looking at this possible INJ entry. Depending on my oscillator, which I'm going to be showing you right now, I'm going to be deciding whether I do enter or I don't. Remember, I was looking for that flip of the ribbon. Seems like that flip of the ribbon is almost there. I rather enter a little bit late on INJ than too early, and that is once again because we have some confluence down here. If I overlay, remember overlaying your indicators makes for a cleaner, better looks and much less spaghetti-ish, of course. Indicators or charts, you can see that the main area of support, it is within this order block and this liquidity area. So right here, along with this support, automatic support and resistance calculation line, we see that this is the area that I'm looking at. So once again, I'd rather enter a little bit late if this is the pump or the bounce. than too early. And I will be looking at this area for support. So I'm going to be adding an alert there a little bit before of the area that I'm expecting it to bounce from. So other than that, turning back to you guys.
Awesome. Trade Fly, what you got for us, bro?
Right on. I got a dot on the daily. Look at this. I got mixed emotions on dot. Just looking at the chart right here. We did have a descending triangle. It did have a little bit of a breakout, but it has canceled it. I will be honest though, a lot of times when you see that it cancels these smart targets, it still ends up coming down to that area. It's just that it got outside. It basically got invalidated when it got outside of the top part of the ascending triangle or the descending triangle. I mean, looking at it though, it makes a lot of sense, right? When it did push up, you have all of this resistance to the top side. Again, broken record. You have a lot of resistance sitting on the top side of all of this price action for a lot of the altcoins, right? You have the golden pocket, you have the moving averages. I feel like I sound like a broken record at this point, but there's just so much for this price action to push through that it's more logical to think that you're going to get rejected and that you're going to revisit some of these areas that we're finding support at. Well, where are we finding support? You have the platinum pocket here. It makes sense because you come back left on the chart. You have support and resistance here. You got this range, and that was the top side of these moving averages. And see, that's when I talk about the where the moving averages are, where the dynamic reactor is usually an indicator if we are in an uptrend or a downtrend. When price action is on the top of all that, a lot of times you're going to see some movement up and right. When it gets on the bottom side of it, then a lot of times you see the price action moving down and right. So keep that in mind. So here we are. Platinum pocket, that's sitting at about $5.35 or so. We did have a wick that came down to $4.95. So really just under $5, right? So psychological numbers, start thinking about that again. And it's also at the bottom side of this range here. All right. So when you look at the fat part of the range here, not this where it came down, there's like 1-2 candles that were below it, but right here, look at all these hits of support, right? Just over and over and over again before it ultimately made a move up and right. You're starting to see, a lot of hits here in this area again of support. So what does that tell me? There's willing buyers in that area for Polkadot. All right. So keep that in mind. About $5 might be an opportunity. And if you come down the prime oscillator, you're seeing, look how strong that move is up and right. The trend is going up and right pretty hard on the daily. Okay. So keep that in mind. Prophecy of same market pumps. I wouldn't be totally against adding some bags right here in the platinum pocket, to be honest with you, anywhere between $5 and $5.35. You just gotta keep an eye, on all this resistance to the top side. So it's, again, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing, but we got to get on top of all of this. We got to see a reversal in the trend because the trend is down and right now. You got to see it break out, and that's just really what I'm looking for. It's kind of the same story, different token, but let me see. Top side $6.40 short term. That's a key area. And then just look for it to get on the top side, OC retest, all that good stuff. Look for that continuation up and right. And then we can start talking about higher numbers. But for now, that's where we're at.
Awesome. And then last one, the request for DJT. Shout out to Black Chan. Looking at DJT, this is Trump Media and Technology. It's the Donald J. Trump stock guys for Trump Media. So I'm watching it here. We did have a peak up back here that it peaked up and wicked up to about $79, almost $80 before it pulled back down. That was back in 26 March, right after they announced that this was going, full public. You can see it was pretty much sideways down here until then. Going back here, there was a big range back here in 2021 when they first launched it, and then they did a whole move here back in March, which caused another rally. Now we pulled back. So where are these levels of support that we can watch here on this? I've pulled a fib from down here at this bottom to this top, and then we've also got a fixed range volume profile going through that entire range there. You can see that we played out perfectly here on the rejections with the golden pocket. We played out perfectly on the rejection of the 382. Right now, guys, all of the support is coming in the platinum pocket here. And that platinum pocket overlying with the value area low. And I do have a box on here. This box coming in right now at about $27 on the bottom side, $23, $24 on the top side, $23.96 to be exact. That is where I would say is a good pickup point if you're wanting to play the DGen play of DJT. Why is that? Because that is where we have found multiple bounces here on price action, on top of it being inside the platinum pocket. And we got this nice double peak volume node here on the fixed range volume profile. So that would be the range that I would look at picking up DJT and hoping that you can catch some of these bigger bounces that come out of this. Like, for example, this one bounce right here down in this box up to that golden pocket was a 56% move. So quick little pulls there that you can get going on DJT. Those are the levels I'm watching for. It does look like we are getting the bounce here off of that value area low, but watch for the golden pocket here at 38.14 to be another rejection point, which would, by the way, create a lower high. And that's what we're seeing there with lower lows being built in. So yeah, that's what I got for DJT. It's about all we have time for today. We are at the bottom of the hour. Tradefly OC, it's Friday. What's your plans this weekend, and what do you got for the people for the weekend, man?
Hey, come on over to my screen real quick. I got something for you because we do have that.
Oh, that's right. The special announcement.
It is. Here we go. Crypto Nightcap. We're going to get that started. Me and my man, FD White. We're going to do our members only premiere. That's on Monday, July 15th. And that is going to go at 8:30 Eastern. All right. So then Tuesday, we're going to clean everything up. We're going to take some input from the members that are there for this premiere. And then Wednesday, we're going live, baby. That's when we're going to get this party started. So look for that. Go ahead.
And I want to clarify it. The members only is only for the Monday test run.
Yeah.
That's yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be open to all viewers after that. So I just want to clarify that it's only members only for the Monday test run. But I am super stoked about this, Tradefly. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm excited too, man. So it pays to be a member. You get some perks there, and then you guys will have some valid input that we'll take into consideration for the show. And it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be cool. I am excited. So just give you a little background. It's probably going to go for about 30 minutes. We're going to recap the day. We're going to give you all the most important market news, TA, set you up for the day. For the next day. I think we're filling a gap there. So there's been a little bit of chat of whether we're going to do a Monday, Thursday, or maybe even a Sunday to Thursday to start getting that Asian market into consideration. I think we'd fill a gap there as well. So we're going to talk more about that part of it. But hey, we're getting it started. I'm looking forward to it. And with that, y'all have a great weekend.
Awesome. OC, what do you got for the people, man? Tell them what they win. Tell them what they win if they hit that like button today.
Absolutely, guys. First, I need a help from you guys. Please click the like button and share it. That really helps out with the algorithm, helps out to spread the love, helps us out to spread the TA, the knowledge. So other than that, thank you so much for liking this video and being here with us. Quick next reminder, another reminder to click that like button, because if you do today, you're going to get more boost if you get out of drinking, and it's going to go cheaper for you only if you click that like button. Remember, never drink and drive, and drink a lot of water also. So other than that, turning it back to you.
What if you're drinking Bailey's in your coffee in the morning? I'm just asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Approved.
I don't know. I need to ask MJ. She's an expert on that. Let me let me study on that matter, and then I'll call back to you.
All right, I love it, guys. We're gonna get out of here. It is Friday. We're gonna go spend time with family, and we're gonna watch these charts and see if we end up making any money this weekend or not. But guys, we'll be back here Monday morning. Don't forget, check that link out. Go check out the Billy Goat Tales book. It's a fantastic book that explains in a very simple manner, based on a children's story about crypto and how you can get into it, how you can stay safe in it. It is a fantastic book that bridges the level of understanding that you need to have to the future generations. So if you've got this book already, go on Amazon and leave a review in there and put hashtag GiversGain. It'll help them out a lot. But we appreciate you guys joining us here on the show today. We're going to be back here Monday morning giving you guys the news, the charts, and the markets, and everything you need to have for knowledge, because knowledge is profit, or at least sometimes it can protect your profit. So we'll catch you guys then. Until then, trade safe. And as always, you should stop loss.
I don't know what they keep telling me. I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. Trade flag at the soul, train ready. What a line from OCI, from a Mexican spaghetti, yo. Crunch crypto with a deep dive to reject dime. And if you like the visual powered by Tar Prime, then you will part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have step, fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. Sound off.
To get rhythm, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean?
That was awesome, dude!